When you're ready.
I'm always ready.
Was that a joke, or are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Fucking go. Damn it.
I just want to make sure you're ready. Okay.
I'm not drunk enough for this.
Here, I'll cheers you through my. No, I'm having one drink. I'm cheersing you through my microphone. There we go. Okay. What the fuck was that?
I was cheersing you back.
Thank you. Ooh, that was not a lot of water in that scotch. Hi, I'm Zach.
And I'm Matt.
And welcome to This Movie is a Hot Dog, a podcast where me and a friend of mine watch a bad movie, critically, financially, or otherwise. Then we break it down and tell you what we thought of it. And we are back from the holiday hiatus. It's nice to see you here in the studios.
In the very elegant studio, we have our recording artist and producer over there behind the glass.
All those people in this big fancy room, millions of dollars. So, yeah, I guess this is really our first podcast of 2015. We had one that I released in 2015, but that's because we banked a bunch. So, new year, maybe we'll
Don't tell them that. That's all behind the scenes.
Maybe we'll get a listener.
Maybe. That's our New Year's resolution, to not be doing this alone.
But we probably will.
And that's okay.
Is it? It makes me so sad. No, it doesn't. So... For our first movie of 2015, we watched a movie we were both very eager to watch. We watched 2014's Frankenstein.
Which, from the get-go, just a glance at the trailer is just like, oh man, this is just going to be a delicious piece of trash. Like, I'm so glad it ended up on Netflix so quickly, though not really surprised.
And it turned out that, I mean... This, like, we said it when we found out this was on Netflix. This is the kind of movie that we started this podcast for. Just delicious garbage that is bad, but you just you just eat it up because it's so terrible. This movie is so fucking boring.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty dumb. It's really hard to sink your teeth into any of the characters at all. No one really brings you in, and there are some people who have been in good movies that just don't quite work here.
And not only all that, the plot of this movie is batshit insane. Not like, I'm sure how people felt when The Matrix came out in 99, where they're like, whoa, this is blowing my mind with what they're saying the world is. Like, this movie is batshit insane, where you're just like, fucking, why are there gargoyles? What the fuck?
The canon is just really out there.
And but they throw you into this canon in minute 2. And they're just like, yeah, this is it. And you're just supposed to go, uh-huh. But it doesn't make any sense. Like, other movies that would use, Christian lore would sort of dive into some weird Vatican book that talked about something. They're just making shit up. On the fly, it felt like they were making it up on set. Like, they're like, okay, and now he's a demon god, and you're a gargoyle, but you're good gargoyles because you work for God. Don't worry about it, doesn't matter. And because it's how it feels, where you're just like, what does all this mean?
I particularly hate movies like this and Legion that try to use Christianity as a base and then just go off into left field and start making up their own rules. Because it's like, if you're going to make a vampire movie, you follow the vampire rules. And so if you're going to do kind of a Christian dogma movie, you've got some Christian dogma rules that you can go by.
But at least with Legion, they kept it angels, God, end of the world. We kept with the plagues. This movie is just where does it say any of this in the Bible or any tangential Bible? Do the Mormons believe that gargoyles are something?
No, they believe that Native Americans are evil spirits, but they don't believe that gargoyles are.
And black people are that color because God is punishing them.
Same with Native Americans. Their dark skin is a sign of their taint.
Yeah, well, they earned it. So anyway, moving on. So before we get into it, I actually did want to say I was completely shocked that this movie made a profit.
It did?
Yeah, this movie is sort of the most recent example that people, like, as a collective, we all decided at the trailer this would be bad. The I, Frankenstein trailer came out and nobody was at, Comic-Con going, oh my God, I can't believe they're finally doing it. Nobody was like that. But, like, when a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie comes out or, like, a really dumb comedy comes out, we all realize it's dumb, but at the same time acknowledge that it caters to a group of people. Like,
It's the right kind of dumb.
But who does this cater to?
Fans of Troll 2.
I'd
Without doing so intentionally, I feel like that's its target audience.
So I did mention that it made a profit. I'll tell you how much it cost and how much it made. You're gonna shit your pants when I tell you how much it made.
That's right. You've been holding out on me with this.
That's right. How much this movie cost? How much do you think it cost?
I'm gonna say my gut says 30, but I'm gonna bump it up and say no. Let's stick with 30. I'm gonna say 30.
$65 million.
My next guess was gonna be 60.
Does this movie look like? Where was that money?
I feel like they definitely paid some actors more than they should have, and they probably it probably went into a lot of CG. A lot of CG movies can suddenly just blow up.
Matt, the gargoyles look like they were from Birdemic in this movie. They did. They look like matte paintings or GIFs that you just drag and drop. They looked terrible.
I feel like most of it went into the background sets, though.
You mean the big elaborate explosions occurring in the middle of a populated European city and nobody seems to notice or care?
I think a lot of it went into just generating like giant basilicas and shit like that and giant holes in the ground that go apparently to hell.
Well, it cost $65 million. It made a little over 71. It wasn't a hit.
Woo!
It wasn't a hit, but it made its money back. Like if a movie makes its money back and a little bit more, the studios are like, that's fine, we're good.
Yeah, because if they make it back in the box office, then all the DVD releases are profit.
Exactly. And they made profit in the theater. So as far as they're concerned, boom, perfect movie. We're done.
Perfect.
Matt, it was a perfect movie.
Yep, it was a perfect movie. Everything about it was amazing, and we can probably just stop the podcast now.
So I'll get us started because I did want to mention this. When the movie starts, I was incredibly surprised, like legitimately almost happy with the way it started, because I had to admit,
it seemed pretty true to the book.
It did. It was how the book ended. Frankenstein's monster is kills Dr. Frankenstein's wife, tracks him down to the Arctic, kills him, and you're like, wow, this is how the book was. Not a lot of Frankenstein movies do that. They usually play up first of all, they just call the monster Frankenstein, which they end up doing in this movie anyway.
Yeah, well, they call both the doctor and him Frankenstein. They're really inconsistent.
Yeah, and
until they just call him Adam.
For no reason. They just give him a name because it's like, enough with this
because he's the first man and they're trying to be biblical. They're trying, like, not hard at all.
I was going to say, it's not, like, subtle at all. They're cramming it in your face. They're like, get it? Get it?
They're not, though. Like, it's like 3 little biblical things that they have in the whole movie, and they try to make the movie, like, a good versus evil kind of godly fight.
I got more. I guess I picked up more of the God stuff. You can look at it both ways. Because if you go like, okay, demons, they call him Adam. He doesn't have a soul. Everybody's getting a soul. You can pick up all of the God elements. But if you just watch it, just to watch it, you're just.
But again, so name something past those 3 little things that's like in any way about it.
The gargoyles live in a church.
Like, it's just, I don't know. And plus, I don't think he even kills Frankenstein in this. I think Frankenstein just dies in the cold chasing the monster.
Isn't that what happens in the book, though?
Didn't quite get that far.
Yeah, I think I remember that from 7th grade. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's trying to find the monster to kill the monster, and he ultimately succumbs to the cold and does die. I think that's true.
That's what happens in the movie.
This is such a small part of this fucking movie.
Do you want to just launch right into the first moments of Adam that aren't being narrated?
Well, he kills Frankenstein, and he takes him to a grave to bury him. And I checked. This was at 3 minutes and 45 seconds in. there's just fucking monsters. There's just a monster fight. Frankenstein is going, I'm a monster. Nobody understands me. I killed my creator. Boom, monsters. Nobody tells you what's going on. Just, you're in it.
And the second I saw this, it's like, oh, good, an unmotivated fight scene. I feel like there's going to be a lot of those here. And I was right. And then, of course, out of nowhere, as Frankenstein's just battling monsters, gargoyles come. Because, you know, that's what if you hadn't seen the trailer and then suddenly you see these gargoyles, you're like, what the fuck?
Well, the gargoyles are different. Let's just make it clear. They're different from the monsters that we're just going to call them Frankenstein.
So, yes, there's Frankenstein, the demons, and then the gargoyles.
And the gargoyles are good, despite how that their appearance as being monsters. That doesn't matter.
No.
They capture Frankenstein and take him to the Gargoyle Queen.
The gargoyle headquarters in a giant basilica.
Right. And this is the part that was bothering me, where the gargoyles capture him and they bring him to the queen and they're going like, look at it. What a monster. This thing. It's Aaron Eckhart with like a kind of a scar down the side of his face.
Yeah, like
he doesn't look like a monster at all.
And it's weird because like in the book, obviously, like he's supposed to be just stitched together rotting meat.
Oh yeah,
and
he's supposed to, half his face is a black guy. He's got like a Chinese man's chin. His hair is just falling out of his head.
Where's this graveyard that he's just like got all these different races?
He's in New York. He's just picking all these like parts, and yeah, you're right. He's supposed to be like a sentient zombie, essentially.
Yeah.
But this guy, it looks like fucking Aaron Eckhart, and everybody's going like, ugh, what a monster. He looks fine.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like in Game of Thrones, like where Tyrion is just supposed to be like a mangled face, and then in the show it's just Peter Dinklage with like a pretty bad scratch. And it's like, okay.
But they hammer it home so hard that he is supposed to be hideous. Like, I'd let it go if nobody brought it up, but everybody brings it up.
Monster. But yeah, and then of course the first thing they say is like, blah, 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 wants him dead, and so we must destroy him. And then they do, and the movie's over. And, I have a whole list of all the times where if they just did what they said, the movie would have been over. So we'll get to go through that at the end.
So the gargoyles rescue him, and when they rescue him, they dig up the doctor's body and they find his diary, and they're like, oh my god, could this be Dr. Frankenstein? Why would they know who that is? They have no reason to know who that is.
He's infamous. Didn't you read the book?
Am I wrong? Would they just be like, they should?
There's a lot of like, you shouldn't know who this is because, like,
they know who he is because everybody in America in the present day knows the word Frankenstein. So do these gargoyles. There's no other reason for it.
And not only that, though, they haven't even just heard of Frankenstein, but they're like, we've heard of you. And it seems like it's been a week that this monster has been alive, and they act like his deeds are just passed down in the annals of history.
Not only has it been a week, in the book, nobody believes the doctor. Like, because the monster kills his wife, and he's like, oh, it was a monster, and everybody's like, shut up, crazy person. But in this realm, not only does everybody know about the monster, ethereal creatures from other realms know about him.
And now that we mentioned that they're from other realms, why don't we dig into the canon, I guess we'll call it loosely, of the thing, because they explain it here.
So when they bring Frankenstein to the Gargoyle Queen, the Gargoyle Queen just basically pauses the movie and just spoon feeds you exposition, where she goes...
There's a lot of spoon feeding of exposition.
I mean, they might as well just go, open up, here it comes. They go, okay, so the God and the devil are in some sort of war, because
no way.
It's oh no, every movie ever's plot weird. And they go, God sent No, he's like, the devil sent a certain number of demons to fight for the devil, and God sent a certain number of, and you would fill in the blank with angels, but you're stupid, because it's gargoyles, you idiot. This suffers from Legion logic, where I'm like, just change it from gargoyles to angels. I'm almost, this is a better movie. We're there. The movie makes sense now. Why did God send sentient gargoyles? What?
Yeah, like of all the things to combat them, it's giant rock monsters. Not to mention, though, like the fact that they're made of rock, or at least appear to be, I guess, like never helps them at all in combat. Why don't we go into some of the combat between the gargoyles and demons, starting with their weapons, which come in every shape and size, and it doesn't matter what they look like or what they do, as long as they have a weird, not even remotely Christian symbol on them, they can somehow kill demons.
Yeah, because after they give all the exposition to Frankenstein, the queen is like, why don't you join our war against demons? Even though there's like no reason. This all happens within what seems to be about 5 minutes. She tells him the whole story, then she goes, you should join us because I like you for some reason. Also, I'm going to name you Adam because you don't have a name. And he's not like, whoa, bitch, if anyone's going to name me, it's going to be me. You can't just start coming up and calling me things. And she's like, all right, your name's Adam. Why don't you join us and fight? And he's like, no, I don't want to. Instead, they give him weapons anyway. And already...
Oh, but what weapons does he pick?
2 giant, just like, legs from a grand piano. And
they're like, you can't use those, they're too heavy. They're like the dumbest weapon ever. Pick something better. And he's like, no, I already picked these.
And it's like, this thing has been alive for like a month, and it's just a trained warrior. So now he's got his giant grand piano legs, and he just decides he's not going to fight for them anymore. For no real reason other than he just doesn't. He doesn't like them, but we don't know why he doesn't like them. He just doesn't agree, like, morally for some reason.
He's just a dedicated loner, and they're like, that's fine, just walk out with those weapons. They're completely replaceable.
Right, exactly. They're like, okay, well, we want you to join. We'll give you some weapons. He's like, well, I'm going to take these. He's like, well, you can't take them if you join. Nobody stops him, though. He just walks out the door. And so he goes into hiding, which is like, he's in the middle of Canada somewhere, because I don't know where these woods are. And he's
mountains.
Right, and for the next, what?
300 years, yeah.
300 years, he's only fighting and killing demons. And he's really good at it, and these demons are like, apparently for the next 300 years, trying to capture him, never do it, because I guess they only attack him in, like, what, groups of 3?
I didn't get the sense that he was constantly exposing himself to stuff, though. I really felt like he isolated himself for, I guess, like, the end, or the third act of The Karate Kid, when he's just kind of training on his own. It felt like he was doing that, but instead of for, like, 2 weeks, it was 200 years. I got the sense that he only really started picking up the demon hunting right before, you know, the fast forward to X date. That
I don't know, because I got the sense that he was like, from that day on, I became a demon hunter, because the next scene is him fighting demons in such a stupid, useless
year,
scene.
though, yeah.
Right, so he's fighting demons in the woods. We don't even know what year it is, because it's the woods, so it could be any time from, like, 3 weeks ago to 250 years ago. And then we flash forward to, he is now in present-day generic European city stand somewhere, Europe. And the only thing that's changed about him is he's got a snappy new haircut.
Gotta keep the times.
Well, let me ask you this. He's reanimated corpse, right?
Yep.
Does his hair grow back? Did he have to wait like 100 years for a haircut? Because he's like, this is the only one I got.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he's got to be really sparing with his style changes.
I feel like he went for a pretty timeless cut, though. It's just, it's a little wave. It's just a part.
I mean, maybe he went Bosley and kind of got some hair plugs.
He became he went, instead of Bill Murray, he was now, what's his name? Never mind, that was a Charlie's Angels movie reference.
Don't make those.
Okay, anyway, so now we're in modern time, and he's just fighting demons again. He's in a bar and he's fighting demons. And I don't know if you caught this, but this bugged the crap out of me because he ambushes a demon in a bathroom, which was kind of a weird thing that I didn't think needed to happen. But he kills like 3 of them, and 1 is running away. And he's got these 2 giant clubs, like they're enormous, and he's gonna chase the demon. So what he does is he like throws open his trench coat and like acts like he's like clipping them onto his belt, and he starts running after him. These clubs should be banging him in the back of the knees, and they should weigh like 30 pounds each.
According to the angels, they're like, these are too heavy to wield, put them back.
Right, he's like, those are too big and impractical to be a weapon. And now they're fucking banging him on the legs. Like, I don't care how strong Frankenstein is. Like, it's at least very annoying.
Yeah.
And you'd think after like 300 years, he would have made like a back sheath or just realized that clubs were a dumb weapon because
so he could just Bruce Campbell it over his shoulder.
Yeah, right. Like, why not a gun? Because they say any weapon can kill demons if it's got this little symbol on it, right? The not Christian symbol.
So you just want it to be carved into bullets?
Yes! It's right there, Matt. I didn't even need to coax you into it.
This isn't Constantine.
Where he's like hammering little crosses into
it's just a shotgun with a cross on top, and it's like, yep, that'll do it.
It's holy now.
I mean, they also did use golden bullets, but still.
But the difference between this movie and that movie is in I, Frankenstein, what?
Now that I've mentioned Constantine, like, I don't think I had been thinking about that before we're watching this movie.
Well, it's basically the same plot,
yeah.
But the difference in this movie is they literally state you could carve this symbol on a wooden spoon. On a wooden spoon, and now you can kill them with it. So get yourself it's going to take a long time because you got to chisel it each bullet. You should develop like a press or something. And
it is going to affect their ballistics, so you're going to have to compensate for that.
But he's got 200 years. Figure it out.
No.
Right. I'm too busy being, just all wispy, poetic, brooding, yeah. So this demon gets away from Frankenstein, and so we cut to the prince of the demons. He's a prince, right?
Yes.
Prince Niberius. He's played by Bill Nighy, and he is the CEO of some
Evil
nameless corp. Of Evil Corps? He runs Evil Corps, which sole business plan seems to be reanimating corpses. I don't know how else they're making their money.
Highly sustainable business model.
I guess. He's sitting in a boardroom and there's a one-way glass and he's looking down on this lab and the pretty blonde lady who's supposed to be the love interest is
scientist
is showing Bill Nighy, the science guy who is also the demon prince, that they're gonna they're gonna reanimate. They're gonna show him that they can reanimate something. So they got a dead rat hooked up to some not real science thing, and they essentially just shoot a laser at it.
They shoot a laser at it and just pump electricity through it. Like, their plan is basically like, the electric chair kills people. What if we killed it so dead it came back alive? That's more or less their plan.
We shocked it so much it came out the other side.
Pretty much.
And it works. So they shock it, and this rat comes back to life for something stupid, like 5 seconds, and then it explodes or something. And Bill Nighy's like, it didn't work. I'm angry. Instead of wow, we made progress, or technically you brought something back to life. I'm kind of impressed. He's like, ha, bosh, Hieronymus. It failed. These people should be getting a Nobel Prize for that.
And so, yeah, especially considering the fact that with what they did to this thing, it should have just blown up, just from the get-go.
I do want to read you this note from that whole scene. All I wrote for that scene is, so the lead demon is played by Bill Nighy is doing whatever.
My note was, the one scientist says, but our bodies are the most complex living things in the universe. And I went, that's a bit of a leap.
Well, we'll get into what these scientists, quote, know about the human body later.
When the aliens come.
So, you're right. I almost just went right past that. Like yeah, and then they come. So that happens, and the next scene is the gargoyles capture Frankenstein again, and they take him back to this cathedral. And
like, what the fuck have you been doing?
Yeah, they're like, why are you back in Europea town killing zombies? I mean demons. I'm sorry. And they talk to him like he left yesterday.
Yeah. Like as far as these people are concerned, they're right in tune with the audience. They last saw him 5 minutes ago when the audience did.
Right, exactly. Because it's like he never left. They're not like, oh, at least have like some sort of stupid line where it's like, nice haircut. It would be dumb. It would be dumb, but it would be something.
Haven't seen you in a couple of 100 years.
Or yeah, right. Be like, what's it been since the fucking Ottoman Empire was around, or some bullshit historical reference like that? Like something. But
nope.
It's just like, nope. They're just like, okay, so you're back. And
did you get the?
And
milk?
they just basically, and he keeps moaning on about how he isn't human. Like they're like, you can't do this, like, you can't go into the city. He's like, I don't know what it feels like to be a person because I'm just an it and a monster. Dude, it's been 200 years. You think you would have
more or less blending.
Right. You think you would have picked up some kind of social norm. Anything. And you're telling me he's walking around without, like, a social security card? Like, how's he, like, getting food? Like,
cash, buddy.
From where? He's robbing people, clearly, or something.
He's robbing demons.
But they explode.
Their wallets don't.
Oh, yeah, they got them asbestos wallets because they want the next demon to be able to get their organ donor card.
Wouldn't you?
Burp, excuse me. So, I will say that I do appreciate how even after... Oh, I burped again. How after they named him Adam, they do continue to call him Frankenstein's monster. Like the demons do anyway. Instead of just doing what we're doing and calling him Frankenstein because it's shorter to say. But a lot of movies don't do that.
Yeah.
So that was a little tiny thing that I did like.
Tiny.
Well, yeah, tiny being the word there. So I have a question for you about the giant gargoyle church.
If it's about anything between the lab and when the attack happens, I don't have a note on it.
Well, that's fine, because you saw the movie. Is that church a functioning church?
I mean, I don't see how it could be if it's functioning as a gargoyle headquarters. I mean, I don't know where the congregation's supposed to meet without seeing, like, these dudes.
Well, because there's plenty of aerial shots because the gargoyles can fly. When you see the aerial shots, this church is the biggest thing in this city.
So, I mean, part of that is, like, during time, back when you could tax the shit out of the peasants as a church, you could kind of build pretty large ones. And the architecture is pretty consistent with it. Back then, the focus of architecture was to be really tall. It was supposed to draw your eye upwards to God, whereas, Greek and Roman architecture was very horizontal because it was focused on people and practicality.
I understand that, but, like, when I've been to Germany and stuff, or you can just look up these pictures online, like, these churches are like dwindled by the skyscrapers around them. That's every church in New York City, for Christ's sake. Like that's how big. City? Well, that's what big buildings used to be. Big buildings aren't like that anymore. Even in Europe, there are these big churches that are surrounded by buildings 1,000 times their size. So this church looks like it's the size of 5 football fields. And is surrounded just in a big circle by buildings. Nobody goes in it but gargoyles. Is nobody like, what is that church doing there? Is it open for tours during the day? Like, what is it?
To your point, it's like, it's got the footprint of about 6 football fields, I'd say, and it's about 1,000 feet high.
It's enormous. It's huge. Because at some point when the gargoyle attack happens that we're coming up to, like, it's like a fucking epic battlefield in that thing.
So let's just get into the gargoyle attack.
Yeah. So go ahead.
All right. So as they're discussing Adam and just basically threatening to kill him again like they did 300 years ago because, again, no time has passed, the gargoyles suddenly have a raid on the HQ of the...
Right.
Or the demons raid on the HQ of the gargoyles.
The demons find out that the gargoyles are keeping Frankenstein in this he's fucking Frankenstein in this cathedral, and they're like, well, now we know where he is, let's launch a full-on assault. And all I could think is like, why didn't you guys do this 1,000 years ago? Like,
and as the battle progresses and the demons seem to be having no trouble throwing their numbers at the gargoyles, it just becomes a question of like, they just never had a reason to wipe the gargoyles out, but they've just always had the means.
Right, because they appear to start winning right away. The demons are just out, because apparently this war hasn't been going so well for the gargoyles because the demons outnumber them like 20-1.
I think they always historically have, but the gargoyles have always been to take out, multiple demons per gargoyle.
So all the demons are like, we're just going to storm this place. And I will say that this was a really cool image where it was like these gargoyles are like on patrol and they're like lower to the ground and they look up and just dozens and dozens of demons are just leaping off of these buildings, like free falling with their arms, like ready to claw people out. That looked pretty cool.
It did, but it also reinforces one of the things I didn't like about the movie. So the gargoyles, as we discussed, they have to have the little symbol on their weapons to descend a demon. However, the demons, once they land on the gargoyles, they're just able to dig their mitts into the body of a stone gargoyle, and that is enough to kill it. Without any kind of special whatevers, they can just stab them with their own bare hands, and that's it. That's all they wrote for the gargoyle.
You're right, because when the demons get hurt, when the gargoyles get hurt, like, because demons go to hell and gargoyles go to heaven. I'm sorry if I'm mixing that up because this bullshit doesn't make any sense. When the gargoyles go to heaven, they turn into like light and they ascend. So when they get hurt, instead of blood, like white light shoots out of them, and it's not like
heaven's escaping.
or whatever. And it's not like they have to cut the gargoyle's head off or rip its throat out. It's just get enough of the white light to come out of them until they're just, the light is
and that
out.
Becomes a mortal wound.
Right.
And it's difficult to assess the number that the gargoyles have left, because at any given point on screen you can see between like 3 and 10 taking the field, but you never see, like, you never get a wide shot of the gargoyle army like you do with the demon army, where it just seems to be in the thousands.
You only see 3 of them. In the meantime, there's 30,000 like dudes running around. But the other thing, I know we talked about this before, that like really irritated us was that like when a gargoyle dies, they go to heaven. They now have completed whatever they've done on Earth, and they get to go to heaven
and face eternal bliss.
And to face eternal bliss, and they treat dying as if it is the worst thing that could ever happen to them. Like, there's these 2 gargoyles that are sort of in love, kind of.
Or whatever.
Or whatever, because these characters are on screen for a total of 5 minutes, and we're supposed to be invested in them for some reason. Like, the girl watches the guy die, and she's like, no, I can't believe he's dead. He was so young. And it's like, dude, he's in heaven. Like, he's fine.
And you've been together and alive since the beginning of time.
Right. And she gets hurt, and she's bleeding, heavenly light. And she's like, no, Frankenstein, don't try and patch up my light wound. Just let me die. But she treats that as if she's dying. It's like, let me die so I can just be free. But she's just going to heaven. She's fine. Like, what's the problem?
To join her lover.
Exactly. What's the issue here?
It all strikes as like something that wasn't very thought out in its canon, and it's just dumb. It's an example of just crappy movie making.
Right. So let's touch real quick on how in this giant fight, gargoyles are getting slaughtered, and giant meteors of white light are firing into the sky, and demons are getting ripped in half, and fireballs are twirling around and falling into the street.
Pretty good visuals.
Where is any person who lives in this city going, what the fuck is that, and filming it on their iPhone? There is nobody in the city. The city is empty.
It's a good thing because there's tons of gargoyles and demons there.
Like, did they eat them all? Like, because later on, when a blonde scientist lady is walking down the street, she's walking from her job to her home. She doesn't run into a single fucking person. It's this entire city in the European metropolis is purely inhabited by 3 million gargoyles, about 10 million demons, and 2 people.
Thank goodness, again, because the sideline casualties would just be enormous.
I guess.
All these,
so,
and the problem is, like, there's 1 million houses just right around the cathedral, almost butting up against it. And so,
they circle it. They're in a complete circle around it.
And it's just, who's in those?
Apparently the most, it must just
Not
be
my problem.
that it's that very unknown apathy town, Apathyburg, where no one's just like, oh, I don't know what that is.
Maybe it's a giant Helen Keller style convent. No.
That's it. It's an entire metropolitan
of Helen Keller.
Of Helen Keller. They just cloned her 30,000 times and they filled up a city. So
with people who are blind and deaf.
So the demons basically win. They don't get.
They've got the gargoyles against the ropes.
Right, and instead of getting Frankenstein, they steal the Gargoyle Queen, which is the dumbest thing.
Is, but yeah,
which is the dumbest thing I've ever said in my life, I think.
Sounds like it.
Instead of capturing Frankenstein, they capture the Gargoyle Queen. Did this script read like this? Like, this is so stupid.
And I'm sure Aaron Eckhart was like, Gargoyle Queen.
No, he was like, how much is this, right? And they're like $10 million, and he's like,
oh, thank God.
Yeah, sure.
But Gargoyle Queen?
Right, exactly. So, the movie did nothing, basically, for the past 20 minutes, and now they have the Gargoyle Queen. Take it away.
So we learned that during this fight, 16 gargoyles were lost from their numbers.
Did they say that? That's it?
Yep, 16 gargoyles were lost.
That's nothing.
It's actually pretty significant because there were barely any to begin with. So
I guess.
I estimate the gargoyle numbers probably to be about, they could probably put about 50 guys in the field before that fight, and they lost 16. That's really my best estimate, is we're down to roughly 30. So Frankenstein goes all loose cannon on one of the demons, and that's when they find out that the Gargoyle Queen was missing, and that was the whole point of the attack. And
are you saying he's a loose cannon Frankenstein who doesn't play by the rules?
Exactly. And then he's got his Frankenstein captain riding his ass over all the damage he's causing.
And then Riggs and Murtaugh show up, and they're his partners.
Only to end up on traffic duty.
Right.
Then Chris Rock comes. But only for the 4th one.
Oh, we have to do Lethal Weapon somehow one time.
That can be another special episode. I will do any of the Lethal Weapons, though for this podcast we probably have to do 4.
Probably. It's the worst one.
I know. So. I love 2 so much, though.
I do too. Anyway, I Frankenstein, everybody.
So the whole point was to steal the Queen of the Gargoyles, and we learn from the second in command that the significance of her is she's supposed to be their only link to the archangels in heaven. And the reason that's important is unable to be answered by anyone who's ever watched this movie. Because the thing that they've always said is there was a finite number of gargoyles spawned at the beginning of time on Earth, and a finite number of demons, and those are the exhaustible forces that are fighting over Earth. Once they're gone, they're gone. And so, why does it matter if this lady can talk to heaven if they're never going to be reinforced? It doesn't matter.
It appears as though, for the past 200 years at least that we've seen, their orders haven't changed from just fight the demons.
Yep, that's pretty much the end of it.
It's not like there's a new battle plan, like, all right, 100 years of doing that didn't work. We got to beat the devil. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do this, that, and the other thing. We're going to get out in the community. We're going to start food drives and all that. They start doing X's and O's on the walls of the cathedral to really plan it out. And right, it's 300 years ago we're fighting demons. 300 years later we're fighting demons. That lady's gone. Just, all right, keep doing what we're doing. It appears to be the right thing.
But instead of that, the second in command decides to open the MacGuffin vault. And it's the MacGuffin vault. It's the vault full of MacGuffins.
You're right. Instead of giving them Frankenstein, he's going to give them, quote, the next best thing, which is the Dr. Frankenstein's journal about how he created Frankenstein. Because in all of our modern science and miracles of technology, we can't reanimate the dead because it's impossible. But some guy 300 years ago in a castle with, we'll get to this later, a fishbowl full of electric eels managed to... 5 electric eels managed to resurrect a dead human corpse. And... It's so, oh god damn it, I hate this movie.
We're two paragraphs away from the best part. So okay, so he opens the vault that they're never supposed to open, but they have the only key to, so whatever.
The key, by the way, is just 2 giant swords. It looks like if you had 2 big screwdrivers, you could just open it.
But instead, the key is the 2 halves of this guy's battle axe. One thing that I feel like they could have done with this is to make sort of a tree of knowledge reference here. Like, this is the vault, they're not supposed to go into it, but it has all kinds of artifacts of power. It's all right at their fingertips, but, like, they're not supposed to go there, and this is a biblical movie that they don't make any biblical references in, and that kind of, it's frustrating.
I'll mention the issue I have with this, because I feel like this movie had a lot of opportunities to do something like
as
this
every movie does.
Well, no, some movies, hit all the right, like a Schindler's List or a movie of that level where it's like it hit all the points and did a good job. Like this movie had a lot of opportunities to do something like that, and this guy screws up like that later, and I'll bring it up. But this movie does nothing that the first Underworld did right, and it's trying so hard to be the first Underworld, where it's like these 2 clans of historical monsters are fighting for, dominance, and they're But even Underworld was like, you saw people like reacting to like, whoa, a vampire, why is that man barking like a doggy? And all and stupid
But yeah,
things
they worked very hard to keep the war underground.
Right, but they show that too. They show them like stopping people, and when they fight in public, there are people there.
Yeah.
There's none of that here. And Bill Nighy's in this movie, and he's the leader of the vampires in all of the Underworld movies. Like, they got so close to doing it, and it's just terrible.
So, Frankenstein's notes were traded for... So the second in command retrieves Frankenstein's notebook, and he goes for the meeting with a demon to trade the notes for the Gargoyle Queen.
It's essentially like a ransom trade-off.
And in what has... I don't know if you can correct me on this. I have never seen a hostage exchange go off
perfectly?
As flawlessly as it did in this movie.
They're demons. He goes... The guy, the second in command goes, here's the journal, give me the queen. And he goes, oh, great, that's what we wanted. He walks the queen over, takes the book, goes, thank you, and flies away. He's a demon, kill the queen. Like, have that be the burden that the second in command now has to carry. But it goes off fine.
He practically gives him a receipt.
He's like, can you sign here? All right, sign here. Okay. Date here.
This is your copy, this is our copy.
Right, he's like, date here. He's like, what's today? He's like, it's the 22nd. He's like, wasn't yesterday the 22nd? He's like, no, it's today. Oh no, man, you're right. That was
flies.
Yeah, all right, here you go. All right, thanks. All right, what do I do with it? Oh, you just keep that for your records. And then he flies away. Like,
it's so dumb.
It's just like in a better movie, not even a better movie.
In every other movie?
In every other movie, something would have happened. Nothing happens. And they fly away with it. So then he takes it to Blonde Lady Scientist and Bill Nighy. And Bill Nighy continues to do his thing where he's like, where, again, we mentioned this before, in this movie, Frankenstein is a book, but also like an urban myth of something that's actually happened.
Yeah.
Like, people talk about Frankenstein as like, oh, well, that's an old wives' tale. Like, nobody really believes that. And he's like, but what if it did? And they go, oh! Like, it's so dumb. And he goes like, well, here's Frankenstein's notebook. And they don't read it like, well, there was a book. This is probably some fan fiction thing you got at Comic-Con. Like, they read it as if, like,
as
you
if it's
found
a
it.
textbook.
Right, you found it. I can't believe you finally found it. Now we know. And they're scrolling through it, and they're reading through it. And have we gotten to the part that you love?
Oh, shall I take it away?
Well, let me preface it before you get into it. So, they are reading through the book, and they finally find the secret of what Dr. Frankenstein used to create his monster. Take it away.
All right. So, let me say first that, like, the scientists in this movie are less convincing than Charlie Day in Pacific Rim. And as we find out from the demons, their whole goal of stealing the Frankenstein's notebook was to create an army of dead people. No way! As they're reading through the notes, they start going into the specifics, which, if you're making a movie, like, never go into the specifics of science. Because in the movie they talk about how he used 6 electric eels generating 500 volts each. And then the other doctor reacts dramatically saying, "That's enough to kill an elephant." So I thought this was interesting, since it was not true. So
I did the same thing, but you wrote it so much better than I did.
So I went to Amazon and looked up stun guns. Zach, let's see how good your memory is, because I know we talked about it before. How many volts are in a stun gun available on Amazon for $10?
Well, the one I found on Amazon, because I did the exact same thing. I was like, well, how much is in a police taser? The one I found was $50,000. Was $50,000? Yeah, right. it was made of platinum. No, it was 50,000 volts.
Zach,
that's the highest.
That's for women. Because right now on Amazon you can buy for $10 a 15 million volt stun gun.
That's so high.
Yep. And then during that, there's all kinds of testimonials from people who went, I got it, and I thought it'd be fun to test on myself, and my leg went numb. And I went, ha ha, not, I got it, and I'm an elephant, and I tried it on myself, and now I'm dead.
I did it, and then I stuck it on my dead grandpa, and now he's Frankenstein.
And now he's Frankenstein.
Oh, wait, whoa. I dropped my microphone. It was precariously placed.
Very exciting.
Very exciting.
But as you said, police tasers are about 50,000 volts. When they initially arc, that's the shooting tasers, and then once they have an arc, they maintain a current, or they maintain voltages at about 10,000 volts, which is still apparently 3 times higher than it takes to kill an elephant. So we should really go warn police.
So we'll stop shooting an elephant? That's why there's no elephants alive.
In North America.
Well, we killed them all. So, basically in this movie, they say Dr. Frankenstein somehow harnessed 3,000 volts of electricity. And they go, oh my God, how did he... That's such an ungodly number. I am clearly a medical doctor and versed in technology, and from doing this job, voltage alone, I can't possibly fathom 3,000 volts. Meanwhile, 20 minutes ago, they shot a dead rat with a fucking laser beam, and it came back to life for a few seconds. But 3,000 volts is like, they can't even understand it. It's so bad. Like, you and me figured out that was bullshit by Googling it And it took us, 45 seconds?
Yeah, or just having already watched an episode of Mythbusters.
Basically. And they say this, and you're just like, they didn't even bob. They just went, what's a lot, 3,000? Okay, like this battery, that's 9 volts, right? That's not a lot.
That's pretty solid.
That's pretty solid. 3,000, that's a lot of volts, right? That's what he did. And I'll give the movie this, again, because I'll give movies credit where credit is due. I think it's interesting where they go like, okay, they didn't have electricity. How did he get the electricity? He somehow imported to America a bunch of electric eels. And
I always thought he harnessed lightning. I thought that was the thing that he did.
Well, that's what they did in the book. Lightning has nothing to do with it. It's some magic potion. It's some weird injection. But, the first movie did the electricity, which I think is a better idea to a degree. But in this movie, they didn't even do that right. Like, in 1933, when they made the not the original, because they made one in 1910, when they made the most well-known Frankenstein movie, like, they just sort of left it open. Like, there's a bunch of science knobs and dials and big switches, and he comes to life, and you just go, well, I don't understand that, but clearly he does, so I buy it. In this movie, when you break down the science, you're like, well, no, you can't.
That's not how that works.
Instead, when they read that, they go, oh, well, all right, on Amazon, I bought a taser. It'll be here in about 3 days because I expediently shipped it. And then we'll just, I don't know, aim it at a dead body. It'll come to life.
Let's hope. So then they have another awesome science line where they're like, if it was born with 15,000 joules, what would it take to kill it? And all I can think is, I don't know, like a bullet to the heart or the destruction of a major organ like any other person. Like, just because it was really hard to make doesn't mean it's hard to kill, let me tell you.
Right, it's like, well, cutting its head off probably would do something. I mean, burning it, that's another option.
I mean, don't quote me that would kill it, but yeah, probably.
Probably, if you burned it to ash, I bet it's not, he didn't, like, open up a corpse and line it with asbestos, like, it's...
And during this part also, it frustrated me because the scientist lady clearly starts to show signs of falling for the Frankenstein monster that she hasn't yet met, just because she's supposed to. Yeah, because in the diary, she's scrolling through the pictures and Dr. Frankenstein has drawn like a hand sketch of the corpse, and she looks at the corpse like, those eyes, they're so knowing, and they seem to have knowledge behind them. She's practically in heat as she reads the diary.
You're right. Like, she's like, I have to go to the bathroom and change my pantaloons. Like, it's just it's a drawing.
It's creepy.
Like, it's weird that she's doing that. So they go, great, now that we have this journal, we just have to, adjust a few knobs on our fucking laser beam, and then we can reanimate a corpse. Frankenstein, it's not even like he has to do any detective work or anything or find anything. They steal the journal, take it to the scientists. The scientists have this dumb discussion, and then Frankenstein just sort of jumps through a window.
Yeah, he just kind of bursts onto the scene all of a sudden. Like,
he's just there, and they're like, what are you doing here? And he takes the journal and jumps out another window. And you're like, well, the demons only had it for, like, in movie time, 2 minutes. So, does this matter?
I mean, she got all the numbers.
Right, right, exactly. She's like, quick, call an aquarium. We need eels.
We need eels because we don't have laser. We don't have any kind of electronic equipment that could possibly meter out specific electric signals in this lab.
She should look at it. She should look at the journal and go, oh, just go get a car battery.
Or literally down to the store and she could get 2,000 AA batteries.
And they just dump a dead body in a tank of water and they're just pouring buckets of batteries.
She just pour buckets of batteries in there with it. Science.
Science.
If they had honestly done that, I would have been like, oh, they're not even trying. I guess that's fine.
Well, because then it would have sort of been like Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 2, like, sort of like, we get it, but you don't think maybe we don't get it. They play this so serious.
and they really couldn't back it up.
No, so he jumps out the window.
So he's gone, and then he kind of approaches her after work or something like that. I forget how they even end up together because I don't have a note.
Well, because they literally say, like, don't chase him. He wants the journal to figure out how he became, that's so stupid, though. Like, it's not like it's going to be like, well, I used these vaults and then I strapped them down with this and then I created him because I wanted to create a perfect little boy who just was so happy and he's going to find his meaning of life. Right, exactly. You make that joke, but it is like Pinocchio. Like, there's nothing in this journal telling him why he is. It's a textbook of how he is. And he thinks he's going to find his meaning of life in this. And the demons say, don't worry, he's going to follow her because he needs her to tell him what the journal says because it's so full of science jargon, he can't understand it. And they have there is a scene where he's standing over, I love this in movies where this is like an analogy for poor people, standing over a giant metal bucket that has a fire in it.
That would be a trash can.
Well, but you know what I mean, where it's like, ooh, well, that means you're poor. Yeah. Because you have to start an open flame. And so he's standing over that and he's trying to read it, and he's just so stupid. He's like, I don't know what any of this is. So
I guess people just use the brains of idiots to make me.
Right. So he stalks her, finds her, and she's like, she's sort of like, oh, well, you're the man from the book. Oh, well, I'm scared, but not really. And
he like, gives the greatest line in the whole movie, he goes, there's a war between gargoyles and demons. I think your boss is a demon prince named Niberius.
And she just
responds with, I don't believe in gargoyles and demons. And all I can think is, nor does anyone. Because usually people think angels and demons. He sounds like a crazy person.
Not even that. If he said angels and demons, she should still be screaming for a cop.
Like, he should, but at least he sounds like a religious fanatic, not like a crazy person with tinfoil on his head.
Well, we know she can't do that because she's the only other person in this city, and there's no one to scream to, because I guess the Black Plague swept through earlier the month, and she's it. She doesn't react like he's insane. She reacts as if like, well, I just don't understand.
Seducing her.
Or he doesn't, or she just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Because she should be like, well, all right, Mr. Bullshit Man, with your load of bullshit, I'm going to try and get away from you. And not even, 30 seconds later, a guy shows up, turns into a demon face, and has a fight to the death with Frankenstein, where Frankenstein wins, and this man explodes into flame, and then she's just like, she's a trooper. She takes this very well, that she's like, oh, demons. Well, all right then. And she's just like, oh, okay, I understand. Well, now I have to help you. And then there's the fucking, like, love scene? Not love scene, but, like, meet cute.
I guess.
In some abandoned apartment. Well, I didn't take any notes on this, but I remember you remember it. Well, I know you remember it better than I do because I fast-forwarded through
it. Yeah. They let slip that the reason that they need Frankenstein, or Frankenstein's monster, is that he is a body that theoretically doesn't have a soul, because when he died the first time, the soul left all his meaty bits. And so the demons have been accumulating corpses, eventually hoping to refine Frankenstein's process to the point
because in this world, Frankenstein is a real person.
So, with the hopes that they could revive all the corpses, and then all of the descended demons initially spawned on Earth as the Devil's Army could repossess new bodies and refill their ranks, which has been the problem of the demons and the gargoyles, that they haven't been able to get any kind of reinforcements, and all of their kind of current people are finite. This raises the question of, if Frankenstein was done this way, why doesn't he have a demon soul in him already? Why wasn't he already just day one possessed? He's a demon guy.
Right. Or Well, I got 3 points I got to make about this. Number one, when Niberius, Bill Nighy, goes like, "We've been collecting dead bodies for 1,000 years. We have 10,000 corpses." You know how many people have died in 1,000 years? Fucking 100 million people died in World War II. And they were just buried in unmarked graves in the middle of a battlefield. You are telling me that you can't just... 10,000 is such a small number. For 1,000 years, that's so tiny. Just, it should be... If he said 1 million, I'd even still be like, well, that's not a lot. But 10,000...
Well, how hard are you trying?
All they gotta do is kill homeless people. There's a new homeless person every 12 minutes or something. Just kill that guy. He's off the grid. Put him in your army.
Boom.
Oh, Burp Town. So
and so I'm sure your follow-up point is also mine. Like, if you've got 10,000 corpses, you couldn't sacrifice a couple of them to figure out Frankenstein's process.
Exactly. He's just keeping them in this giant wine cellar, just going like, oh, they're not ready yet. So he's just collecting them. And my other point, they're storing these things in, like, what is a sinkhole to hell? Like, This hole is like a mile deep. Like,
with
diamond
churning,
mines.
bubbling lava at the bottom.
Diamond mines aren't this deep. And it like you said it the other day, this looks like it is literally a hole that just goes to hell. It just, because when the demon monsters resurrect, they just shoot straight up. And to what you said, point number 3, why doesn't the demon soul just inhabit him? It's at some point they do try to, Niberius tries to have a demon inhabit, but it gets to that. They try to have a demon inhabit him, and it's not like he kills him first, or he, straps him to a special machine. He just through magic, make a demon inhabit him. Why couldn't he just do that whenever? Why did they have to wait so long?
For dramatic effect. And because the script said so.
And they do the whole thing where it's like, you don't have a soul, so you're not a real person, and that's how he goes, I'm not a human being, I don't understand things. But, like, he doesn't have... It would be one thing if it's like, you don't have a soul, so you, like, don't have a personality. Like, he has a personality. Like, he's brooding and he's angry. No, not a good one, but he has one. And there's not like when he finally gets a soul, spoiler alert, when he finally gets a soul, it's not like he goes, I can feel love, I can feel hate. He doesn't, there's never a revelation like that.
Well, there's never there's never a moment where he gets one. They just find out he had one the whole time.
Well, I'd argue that all of a sudden he got one.
I don't think he did. They try to put one in him, and then they're like, wait, Occupado. What?
Well, we'll get to that, but all of a sudden he has a soul.
Mr. Blitzing the plot wants to get to it. Okay.
So all of a sudden he has a soul. But okay, enough about the souls.
So let's go back to reality. Okay, so after Demon Guy tries to kill him and they're dealing with Lady and things are being stupid, the Order of the Gargoyles finally decide, fuck everything, it's time to kill Adam. We've said we're going to do it. Things are starting to get pretty real. We need to kill Adam. So, turns out that they can't kill the main character in the movie, so the guy sent to do it dies, and Adam acquires his weapons. And then immediately the next scene destroys the journal. So these are two things which, if either of them had been successful earlier in the movie, there wouldn't be a movie. But now, let's just, fuck it, movie's getting over. Let's start finding ways to end it.
We got to wrap this shit up in 30 minutes. Let's go.
So the demons start reanimating their army. The gargoyles deploy theirs. It's the fucking most ridiculous thing ever. Adam goes to the gargoyles and it's like, hey, I killed your buddy. Why don't you come get this? And there's a scene where he runs from the church where the gargoyles are hiding out, and while still running, is able to arrive at the demon headquarters. Meaning...
Well, we got to make the point, though, that the gargoyles say, like, we don't know where the demon's headquarters is. Keeping in mind that this is a global war. So the demons could be in Brazil, they could be in China, they could be in Japan, they could be anywhere.
Except
the demons' headquarters is, what, 15 blocks from the gargoyle headquarters?
Dude, I'm going to say 3.
It's like you never figured this out. You've been on Earth for thousands of years, and you never found out where they are, which turns out to be...
Not to mention Adam did in about, a week.
Right, at Evil Core.
Turns out,
Evil Core, the evilest corporation on Earth, that's their slogan, is just down the street, and they never found it. And then when Frankenstein is like leading them there, and finally the gargoyles are like, let's attack him. So they swoop down, just ram him through a fence. All these gargoyles come out because they're like, what's going on? And demons come out and they're like, what's going on? And the gargoyle goes, oh my god, this is the demon headquarters. He should have immediately slapped himself on the head and were like, it was right here. It was here the whole time.
Fucking A, what have we been doing?
It's so close! They never found it ever! So the gargoyles were gonna kill Adam because he burned the journal and all this shit. They're like, oh no, he's right now. Now we're on his side. Let's fight with him. And it's another stupid fight, gargoyles versus demons.
Decent. Not as good as the first big fight between them, though.
Well, because there's no people jumping off of buildings.
Fair enough. So, realizing the writing is somewhat on the wall, the demons initiate the process to reanimate the bodies, which is apparently lengthy as fuck. So, each of these dangling corpses hanging over the gates of hell, it has a counter on it that just gives a percentage of its process. Meanwhile, above them...
It's like a loading bar in a video game.
Yeah, right? Except for some reason, all 10,000 corpses each have their own loading bar.
Yeah, it's this big giant LED screen because all the corpses are hanging in these like metal caskets, and it has like 1%, 2%, 3%. 1,000 years ago, were they just in a pile? Were they just like, shove them in that hole? Why? Well, because we haven't dug the hole deep enough yet to reach hell.
I can only imagine how long it took them to dig that hole. But, and so above them all is just giant Tesla coils of electricity going everywhere, because that's what a producer thinks that a giant electrical facility should look like. When in reality, all these wires should be insulated. Otherwise, how do you control the voltage and everything going through the bodies? You can't. Like, if you go to a power facility, there's not giant arcs reaching out to the sky and tentacling out to kill people. It's all pretty under control.
Well, like I said before, when you go down there, it's like steampunk retro future. This is how you reanimate a corpse. Meanwhile, upstairs, they have giant fucking laser beams. That wasn't enough. But Tesla coils, well, that's how you do it.
That's how it gets done.
Apparently.
So the Lady Gargoyle and 2 of her followers find their way down below amongst the corpses. And they're just sitting there going like, what do we do? Whereas their solution to everything so far has just been smash. And right now, that is probably the best thing you could do, because literally severing any of the wires would disconnect a good chunk of the corpses. And so the lady who lives in a basilica and never even issues her people so much as a walkie-talkie to communicate to each other is just like, we've got to shut down the computer. And it's like, do you know what those are?
Apparently they do. So they realize they don't have time, because literally out of this giant hole, like thousands and thousands of demon souls are spawning up. Yeah. So while they're down there dealing with that, upstairs, Frankenstein is like, don't worry, I'll handle the prince of the demons. And he gets into like a fist fight with the demon. And the demon has this whole long speech about how it's like, he beats Frankenstein, like he beats him in his fist fight. He's like, I will make you the general of my army, like Spawn. You remember that movie that was really bad in the 90s? Well, this is kind of the premise of that. Oh, you didn't see it? Well, the comic was good, but anyway, I'm going to make you the general of my army. So he starts drawing a pentagram on his head and giving like a way too long incantation. And a demon soul shoots up, and you think, oh, at the last second, the blonde scientist is going to come in and like punch the demon or shoot him or something. And he's not going to turn into a demon. The demon's soul enters Frankenstein. You're like, oh no, they lost. How long is this movie? It's got to be done soon, right? Like, it's almost over. This can't be what happens. So Frankenstein is turning into a demon for like, what, a half an hour? Like, it's so long. The queen of the gargoyles is she just goes start punching corpses. So they all just literally start tearing corpses out of these walls as demon souls are getting to their 100% mark on their little beater chest. And he's like, you're going to be the good general of the demons. And he goes, rise, my demon general. And he looks at him and he goes like, I ain't no demon, I'm fucking Frankenstein, or some bullshit. And you're like,
yep.
What?
That's what he said. I ain't no demon.
And he goes like, how can this be? You don't have a soul. And he goes like, oh no, I got one the other day. Or something. Because all of the sudden...
Just before I came here.
Because all of the sudden, the movie just says, no, Frankenstein has a soul.
And there was never a point where it's like, oh, he acquired one. So you're just left to go, okay.
I guess, sure, why not?
And
it's not like there's that thing where it's like, there's not a scene, it doesn't have to be like God on screen, but something where it's like, he's turning into a demon and there's a white light and he's like, and the demon king is like, that's impossible. There's no way that God could intervene, and gives him a soul. He just all of a sudden is just not a demon.
Yeah.
For some reason. And you're like, God,
he has a soul, duh.
Yeah, but then you're sitting there going like, but why does he have a soul? God gave him a soul? Like what, just now? And there's never a time where, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, where there's that thing where it's like he saves a child or sacrifices himself or something like that.
Not
where
one
it's
of
like,
those
well,
Constantine moments.
Right. Like like you said it before, at the end of Constantine, where he's like, don't kill her, I'll go to hell. And then God's like, oh, you sacrifice yourself, that's cool with me. That's a God thing.
We like that.
Right. We like that up here. That's us. And he frees Constantine. He forgives all his sins. No. In this movie, it's just all of a sudden he has one, and you're like, but why, though?
They just always did. I mean, I don't know. Fuck you.
Yeah, right. We got him wrap this movie up in 10 minutes. He's got a
For all
soul,
we know,
whatever.
This whole premise never would have worked anyway. You know, maybe
It's
they're
almost-
just chasing a dead end.
It's almost like this is a dumb movie, and we got to the last 10 pages, and it needed to finish.
And so earthquakes happen, and the gargoyles go nuts, and all of the bodies fall into the giant lava pit they were situated over, because that turned out to not be such a hot idea. And then the army of gargoyles retreats back to their headquarters, flying over the city in broad daylight. No one says a thing, as we said.
No one sees anything. Meanwhile, what appears to be a multi-billion-dollar corporation fell into a sinkhole because a flock of poorly animated gargoyles, something. The end.
And the last line of the movie, again, pretty solid writing. Descender with a demon horde.
Before you say it, because I do want you to say the whole thing, and I feel like they were going for like a Dark Knight sort of vibe. You know how at the end of the Dark Knight, like Batman's running from the police, and Commissioner Gordon's like, he's our protector of the shadows, our something soldier, our Dark Knight. And then bum, Christopher Nolan's music kicks in, and you're like, that was great.
And because it was a good movie.
Well, that also helps, but I feel like that's what they were going for in this.
I feel like now that you mentioned Batman, like Aaron Eckhart does the hoarse whisper, the hoarse dramatic whisper of an action hero the whole time for no reason. And so that is also very Batman-like. And then, of course, so I'll go into the line now. So he finishes it with, I, descender of the demon horde. I, my father's son. I, Frankenstein. And it's like, that's where you get the title of the movie from. That's why it's I, Frankenstein.
Well, it's
fuck everything.
It's one of those things, like, I sort of get it, where he's like, I've come to terms with who I am and how I was made, and that Frankenstein didn't just make me to just be a jerk. Like, he made me because, you know, for more or less for the same reason God made everyone else, because he could. But it's so dumb because it's just smacked right at the end of this whole fucking movie, and you're like, there's no weight to it.
So I also figured out part of why that might be the case. What's one thing that this and a Tyler Perry movie have in common?
Oh, God. I don't know. What?
They were both written by their director. So there was no one along the way to go, wait, this doesn't make sense. Like, I feel like it just lacks that second set of eyes, though.
Somebody needed to look at it and go like, oh, you know what? This is kind of dumb.
Like, why is it gargoyles? Because gargoyles are awesome. Yeah, but...
It suffers from Legionitis.
Legionitis is a dangerous disease.
And unfortunately, a lot of movies get it. Where it's just like, you're like, this is almost right. And it's just so far off from being right.
Nope. Yeah. I can't even call Legion almost right.
But they set it up from being like... They set it up almost for a sequel, which you're like, that's... No.
Don't do that.
Not only don't do that, like, that's not going to happen. Like, there's not going to be an I, Frankenstein 2, I, Frankensteinier. Like,
There's not?
Oh my God, I hope not. But...
Did this movie make money?
Yeah, this movie... I told you in the beginning, this movie made a ton of money.
So you're sure there's not going to be another one?
Well, I mean, it made money, but this movie was more than critically panned.
But you said it made money, though.
I know that I said that, and that's the unfortunate thing, because technically that does mean that this movie could have a sequel, because in Hollywood terms, all a movie needs to do is make money for them to go like, oh, success. Well, okay, we're done. Final thoughts. You want to go first?
I would love to.
Well, take it away.
All right. So, this movie was awful. It was just a big pile of shit. It's the kind of movie that we set this podcast up for, so very excited about that. This movie it stands like such a flimsy house of cards in all of its things. The science is just awful. Like I said, this lady is less convincing than Charlie Day, who plays an idiot in another show. And it just, you can't be expected to buy any of it. There is no way to suspend your disbelief enough without just lethal amounts of drugs. So yeah, it's pretty entertaining, I guess, if you just want to make fun of something. So overall, I'm gonna have to give it maybe a 6 out of 10 in entertainment value, because it's amusing, but it's so unbearably slow at times. It sucks. And just an overall value of probably like 4 or 3.
Well, I felt worse about it than you did.
And I felt pretty bad.
And you felt pretty bad about it, but like, I have nothing good to say about this movie. The only thing I agree with, and this is my major complaint, is it's so boring. It is insanely slow. Like, we skipped over a whole subplot where the second in command goes to kill Frankenstein and there's a big fight in the streets just because it honestly doesn't fucking matter. Frankenstein wins because he makes it to the end, and who cares? It tries to create a mythology that there needs to be some sort of base in. Like, Underworld has the basics of vampires and werewolves, and you can just assume a tension there. Star Wars does an amazing job of creating a whole religion and a universe and a government in 10 minutes, and you're just along for the ride the rest of the movie. This movie, every 5 minutes, you're like, well, why is that? 10,000 bodies. Well, the journal, why is the gargoyles? Why are there gargoyles? Like, it's
Gargoyles?
just... It really is. It just doesn't make any fucking sense the whole time. There's nothing redeemable about this movie in any way. I don't think if you watch it with friends, it's good because it's so slow. There are plenty of movies that are good with friends. This is not one of them. I give this a 0 out of who gives a shit. This is a 0. I don't watch this movie because I watched it on Netflix, and generally I will watch not so great movies on Netflix by myself, and you can just kill a couple of hours while you're waiting for when you have a party at 9. This is not that. It's not good. It's not fun. It's bad. Graphically, it's terrible. The gargoyles look like shit, and it's dumb. It's horrible. That's what she wrote.
Yep.
So I don't fucking know. Do you have anything else to say about this thing?
There's only one thing left to say.
There's a couple of things left to say. Number one, we're back. We're back. We had some technical difficulties. We'll get back on a more solid schedule for anybody who listens, which is no one. And hopefully we'll put these out at a more steadier rate. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow us at Movie Hot Dog. If you want to email us questions, comments, concerns, or hate mail, we love hate mail as always, you can email us at moviehotdog@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook at This Movie Was a Hot Dog. And frankly, Matt, this movie was
a hot dog.
That's what I thought you would say.